Does your movement look like this? Are you just going for a leisurely stroll every time you go into raids? Do you want your movement to look more like this? This guide is basically just going to be a beginner's guide to movement on Warlocks and Hunters. I'm sorry, Titans, but I simply don't have the knowledge or any gameplay experience on Titan to tell you how to move. I do have a link to a video, a very good video on how to move as a Titan, but I simply just do not know how to use Titan movement. I don't have the experience to be guiding people on how to do it. However, we're going to be going over vertical and lateral movement for Warlocks and Hunters. I won't be covering everything because you don't need to know everything. There are other things such as grapple skating and strand skating and a lot of just irrelevant movement options that you don't really need. This is just going to go over stuff such as well skating into Phoenix dashing, or Icarus dashing, and ground shatter skating, stuff like that. So, we will need an eager edge sword for whether you're playing Hunter or Warlock, you will need an eager edge sword. Whether that is the other half, or the Slammer, Fallen Guillotine, or Half Truths. I will put up a little description on where to get them, up on the screen right now. So any of those swords. Now, if you don't know what eager edge means, it's just a trait on the sword called eager edge. Basically, what it does is it makes you swing further. So that's an eager edge swing. That's a normal sword swing. Eager edge, normal. So it'll basically just make you swing faster for one swing every 4 seconds. So let's start with as basic as it gets. Jumps. So for Warlock, we've got Strafe Glide. This one, I wouldn't really recommend, but sometimes it can be useful. It basically just sends you up, and then it just lets you float around for a little bit. It's not very fast, but it can be useful sometimes. Burst Glide. This one is going to give you a lot of forward momentum, and it's the fastest way to travel. This one I highly recommend, and I use this on my Warlock all the time. That's the only jump I use. And then Balanced Glide, I wouldn't really recommend, but it's completely up to you. It's kind of just between both. But I definitely use Burst, and maybe sometimes Strafe. Alright, so for Warlocks, for our abilities, if we want to go as fast as possible for movement, we're going to put on Well of Radiance, Phoenix Dive, Burst Glide, Icarus Dash, and Heat Rises. This right here is it is going to make you go flying. This is the fastest momentum you can get in the game, is with Warlocks with this setup right here. But first things first, we're just going to go real simple. The boots, transversive steps, they'll make you run faster. Each class has one of these. Warlocks, yours is called transversive steps, just makes you run faster. And it also reloads your weapon if you sprint. None of the other classes do that. A real simple thing, just to get you started. Jump, and try jumping using your double jump just before you hit the ground, just to gain a little bit of sideways momentum. No weapon needed, nothing like that. Just jump as you're about to hit the ground, and you'll get a little bit of momentum. Now, if you want to add another step to that, we're going to use our Icarus Dash. So, with our Icarus Dash, it doesn't use any ability. On keyboard it's X. On consoles, I believe you double tap circle or B. I think. So basically, what we're going to do, same concept, jump, double jump just before you hit the ground. But just as you press your double jump, we're going to press our Icarus Dash. Just as you press your double jump. Just like that. Just practice that. And then when you've done that, when we hit the ground again, we're going to double jump as fast as we can. So jump, double jump, Icarus Dash, double jump when you hit the ground. So that, right there, is the basis of Solar Warlock movement. Just like that. Pretty simple. Pretty easy. Yeah, it can be combined with a lot of other things to make you go real fast. So, if we combine that with an eager edge sword, such as the other half, this is the one I'm using, we can swing, double jump, Icarus dash, and then keep our momentum going by double jumping every time we hit the floor. So, we're going to jump in the air, swing, double jump, Icarus dash, and then just keep jumping every time you hit the floor, just to keep our momentum, pretty much. Swing, jump, keep double jumping, keep your momentum going. Now, another thing we can do with Warlocks is well skating. To well skate, you're going to need an eager edge sword and a well of radiance. We're going to pull out our eager edge sword. We're going to heavy attack. We're going to place our well and jump at the same time. So pull out your sword, heavy attack, and as soon as you heavy attack, use your super and jump at the same time, and it should look something like this. Just like that. That's called a well skate. You do need to be on a ledge, you cannot just do it on the ground. Any ledge, walk up to it, pull out your sword, super, jump at the same time. You do need to have your well, of course. Now, if we combine our well skate with what I taught you before, the Icarus dash jumping, you can go a lot faster. So you well skate, when you hit the floor, you jump and Icarus dash at the same time. I almost just fell off the map. Now, another thing to know about well skating is if you double jump as soon as you well skate, you'll go up. And you'll keep going up. So if you don't want to just hit the floor immediately, you want to gain a little bit of momentum upwards, just double jump as soon as you well skate. See? Just like that, and we go up instead of down. Oh, okay. Well, we end up going down anyway. Now another thing that we can use as Warlocks is heat rises. If we hold our grenade button, we now have heat rises. This lets us float around for as long as we want. Okay? So using this, I'm going to cover some vertical movement for Warlocks. So when it comes to vertical movement, this right here, the mountaintop, is your best friend. You can go to the Exotic Archive collection in the tower, and you can buy this for 125,000 glimmer. And this right here, with, as long as it's not sticky grenades, is amazing. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a mountaintop, we're going to jump, shoot the floor, and double jump straight after. Just like that. And now we're way up in the air. So, once I get my grenade back, I'll show you how you can climb a whole wall on a Warlock with just mountaintop and heat rises. Okay, so I've got my grenade back. I'm going to use heat rises. I'm going to pop a weld for no reason. I didn't actually mean to do that. We're going to shoot the floor with mountaintop, hug the wall, shoot the floor with mountaintop, and we're up on the ceiling. You can go as high as you want with heat rises, as long as your timer doesn't run out on your heat rises. So you can extend your timer by shooting ads, by the way, killing an ad. But you can just keep going up as long as you have heat rises active against a wall, and it'll just keep sending you up until you either hit the ceiling or until you run out of heat rises. Pretty simple, really easy. Now we can incorporate our mountaintop heat rises, Icarus dash, and our well skate all together to send us flying like I did in the start of the video. As I'm going to this spot to show you like the well skating tech, you can see how you can incorporate this movement into your gameplay. I mean, I could pull out a Sparrow right now, but this is just so much more fun. Eager edge, jump, Icarus dash, pull it out again, jump, Icarus dash. Warlock movement is some of the most fun that you'll ever have in this game. For me personally, at least. Alright, so I'm just at this kind of like big flat area on Europa. It's right here if you're interested in practicing. Basically, we're going to well skate. When we hit the floor, we're going to jump Icarus Dash. Then when we hit the floor again, we're going to mountaintop up and then pop heat rises. And that is going to send us flying.
Darkness has dropped another puzzle and Aramis's soldiers are converging. Guardian, can you take care of this?
And we are at the barrier. And then with heat rises, you can kind of just float around. Kill some ads. Another thing to note, if you've got heat rises active and try and mountaintop, you won't really go anywhere. You have to mountaintop and then pop heat rises while you're in the air for it to really be effective. Unless you're trying to climb a wall. You can also Icarus Dash backwards. Like, you can have backwards momentum. You don't have to be facing forward to do this. Another thing you can do is you can well skate into changing to prismatic, into jumping and then blinking in very rare circumstances, which I will not show on my Warlock, but I will show that on the Hunter section, where you can skate and then into a blink, but you rarely ever need to do that on a Warlock. It's not really needed. On Warlock, if you just well skate and then jump, I mean, you're just gonna go forever. Warlocks they just go so far in horizontal momentum. A place to use this effectively is the King's Fall first parkour on like the ships just after you do the first encounter before totems. The ship parkour, you can just well skate all the way across. If you use heat rises and then well skate, you can just travel across the whole place. Another thing for Warlock movement is Phoenix Dive. Pretty self-explanatory. You just dive to the floor. It's only useful if you want to stop your momentum. Another way to stop your momentum is simply just sword swinging during your well skate. Just well skate and then just swing your sword and you'll go back down. Easy way to stop your momentum. These brigs are ruining my video. And I haven't done a public event in 3 years, so that's not happening. But for Warlocks, that's going to be about it. That's all the movement you really need. Solar Warlocks are amazing for movement. Transversive steps, you've also got Astrocyte Verse for your blink. That will make you blink faster. Sorry, let me reword that. You can blink more often, and I believe you go a little bit further. Where is it? It's a helmet. Somewhere. It's on my screen right now. There it is. Yeah. So Astrocyte Verse, but if you're using blink, then you're probably using it in PvP, or you're probably using it to speedrun and get through a gap to get outside the map. And now for our Hunter. With Hunters, we've got triple jump, which I highly recommend. It's basically just 3 jumps, right? Now another thing with Hunters, if you hold your jump button, you will jump higher than if you just tap it. So holding it will get you further than if you just tap it. We've got high jump, which I only really use in very specific situations where I need to get really high up. However, there are other ways to get a lot of vertical momentum without jumping, which I will cover later on. Basically, it's just one jump that sends you pretty high. Strafe jump, this one's pretty cool, but it's not that practical. Basically just lets you like double jump whatever direction you want. So if you're going forward, it will then give you backwards momentum, which you can't do with any other jump. You can jump to the side, jump wherever you want. Strafe jump's pretty cool, but I never really use it. We've also got blink, which I forgot to mention on Warlock, but I'm gonna cover that a bit later on Warlock with one of their exotics. But we do also have blink, which I would not... It's very situational. Sometimes you can blink through little gaps in the map to get out of bounds. Blink, there's another use for it with shadow skating, which I'll cover later on. Otherwise, just for normal PvE activities, I would not use this. It can be useful in PvP, but this is not something I would use. However, it's definitely not off the table. I use it more than I use the other 2 jumps. but I'd definitely be using triple jump. Hunters, your movement class is Revenant. You've also got Thread Runner for grapple, but I'm sure you guys can figure out how a grapple works. Basically, just grapple to a point and then swing. But for the entire movement minus grapple, we're going to be talking about Revenant. Now, you can use Prismatic as well with Ascension. However, I don't think I've ever used that in my entire life because Revenant Shadow Skating is just so much more useful than anything Prismatic can do. However, if you do run Prismatic, you can run Ascension plus Grapple, and then basically you just grapple, and then Ascension, and then Sword Swing, and that's all you've got. But for Hunters, I recommend Revenant with, well, obviously you've got one super, Triple Jump, Glacier Grenade, and then Shadow Dive. Those are the three things you need. Nothing else matters. So, Eager Edge Sword. You've also got Stompies. That is Hunter's exotic. It'll make you jump higher, slide further, and run faster. Very useful. So, first things first. What we've got is basically just sword swipe, jump, jump. Sword swipe, jump, jump. We don't have any fancy movement like Warlocks. We're just running, jumping, sword swipe. What did I just hit? Now, we're going to try Shadow Skating. It's a big step up, but Hunters really don't have that much. So, we're going to pull out a Eager Edge Sword. We're going to do a heavy attack, Shadow Dive, and jump at the same time. So heavy attack, and then Shadow Dive and jump at the same time. So, Shadow Dive, it's X on keyboard, and it's double tap circle or double tap B on consoles, I believe. Don't quote me on that. So, it's going to look something like this. Heavy attack, jump, Shadow Dive at the same time. And that right there is called a Shadow Skate. So, one more time. We have to be on a ledge, by the way. Forgot to mention. You have to be on a ledge to do this. Just like that. Shadow Skate. And then carry your momentum as you hit the ground. Oh, try not to hit the wall. So, as you hit the ground, you're going to carry your momentum. Oh, try not to fall off the map as well. Now, another thing we can do with our Eager Edge Sword, which Warlocks can't do, is ground skating. Now, this is shadow skating, but you don't need a ledge. And it is one of the hardest inputs I've ever even tried to do. But it is definitely possible. What you have to do to ground skate is you need to pull out your heavy weapon, obviously your sword, your Eager Edge Sword. You need to jump, light attack, and as you light attack, you need to press space, like jump, again, and shadow dive. So jump, light attack, double jump, and shadow dive at the same time. Like all at the exact same time. And if you do it properly, this might take me a few attempts, but power of editing. If you do it properly, it's going to look something like this. Just like that. It's basically a shadow skate, but on the ground, and you don't go as far. So this is a normal shadow skate, and this is a ground shadow skate. Okay. And this is a ground shadow skate. There you go. Yeah, so a lot of the time when you try and do it, you kind of just hit the floor. It is a horrible timing, and it is very hard to do. But it's very useful, because there's not always a ledge for you to shadow skate off of. So, if you can shadow skate wherever you want, it's very, very, very useful. So, let's cover some movement for hunters. Vertical movement, I should say. First, we're going to need Mountaintop. You can get this at the tower for 125,000 Glimmer. And it's pretty simple. As long as you don't have sticky grenades on it, it'll work. So, I believe the one at the archive does not come with sticky grenades, but don't quote me on that. What we're going to do, we're going to aim at the floor, we're going to jump and shoot Mountaintop. That's it. we're going to jump and shoot it at the floor. And we just go flying. You can use your triple jump after that to go high up in the sky. Now, if we combine that with a stasis crystal, throw it at the wall, and now we're up here. And now, you can mountaintop off the crystal, and as you can see, I hit the ceiling. Now, another thing you can do with those crystals is you can shatter skate off of them. So you can mountaintop up to a ledge, or you can make your own ledge even. Let's say we're on, I don't know, what's a good example? Let's say we're just sitting here and we want to shatter skate to over there. There's no good ledge to do it from. There's no good ledge to do it from. Let's pretend that doesn't exist right there. So we're going to come out this doorway, and maybe we want to shatter skate over there. So we're going to get our glacier grenade. We're going to throw our glacier grenade at the wall, and then now we have a ledge to shatter skate off of. And now we're at this doorway. Another good thing to note, if you want to cancel your momentum while skating, just swing your sword one more time. Or you could even just shatter dive again if you have it back by then. One more piece of Hunter skate tech is, since we don't need our super, unlike Warlocks, we can basically just swap our subclass as much as we want, right? So, I'm going to swap the Prismatic. I'm going to put Blink on. Now, I have another video where I've already done this. It's the Morgoth parkour skip. If I have my skating setup and my Prismatic Blink just easily swappable, just like this, if I shatter skate, double jump, swap the Prismatic, and then Blink, it gives me a lot of distance. Right? So I can shatter skate. Okay, my sword didn't, I don't know why my sword didn't blow out. There's not a whole lot of room in here. Maybe if I shatter skate from here. Double jump, swap to Prismatic, Blink. You keep all of your momentum and you go so far. So, that's about all the Hunter tech there is. Well, not all the Hunter tech there is. There's grapple skating and there's a lot more, but this is all the Hunter tech that you are reasonably going to use in Destiny unless you are trying to be the next esoteric. Like, grapple skating is just, it's skating with strand on a very specific surface that I've never used in my entire life, because why would you, when you can just do this? Okay, just a few extra tips. With Eager Edge swords, they have two types of frames, adaptive and vortex. The other half and half-truths are adaptive frames, and they will do heavy attacks like that, whereas the other two swords, Fallen Guillotine and the Slammer, they will do heavy attacks such as that spinny circle one. These are vortex frames. So these will go a little bit further when you skate and when you attack, like heavy attack. So heavy attacking is used in skating. So when you skate, you will go a little bit further with a vortex frame than you will with a adaptive frame. It's really up to personal choice. However, I have had a few moments where I could not make a distance with just normal skating unless I had a vortex frame sword. So maybe it might be better to grind for a Fallen Guillotine or a Slammer if you haven't already got an Eager Edge sword, rather than half-truths or the other half. Another thing to note is the mobility stat. Now, a lot of people get this confused because it does say increases your movement speed and maximum jump height. It does not increase your sprint speed. It will increase your walk speed and it will increase your first jump height. It will not increase your sprint and it will not increase your double jump. So mobility is honestly a terrible stat. It will increase your strafe speed while you're ADSing as well, by the way. But it is not needed for high movement, okay? Now, if you want to really maximize your movement speed, especially on Hunters, it's kind of useful on Hunters. It's also tied to dodge, but mobility on Warlocks and Titans, not at all needed at all. Hunters can be quite useful. But that's about it. Again, sorry Titans, I really don't know anything about your class, and I didn't want to make a video when I have no idea what I'm saying. So, but I do have a video linked in the description for you guys. It is very helpful, and rather than just copying what that guy did word for word, I thought I'd just leave his video in the description instead. Um, so yeah, hopefully this helped all you warlocks and hunters. Sorry, Titans, but that's going to be it. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you learned something.